Oh, we're live. Okay. Alright, well, since there is no DPA warp or anything like that being set up, I guess we'll just go ahead with the debate. Um, well, no, Kerbal's not here. Um, I will see if I can get Darklander to appear. If not, then we'll just go ahead. Let me see here. Alright, let me post the link to the stream. Anton, can you paste that on Discord real quick? Like, give it to me. Thank you. Alright. Alright. Okay. Well, since I don't think the DPA is going to get back to us, and Nova Kerbal is nowhere to be seen, I will just real quick see if I can find anybody else to fill in Nova Kerbal's spot. Darklander said he might be able to make it. Alright, I've DM'd Darklander about filling in for Nova Kerbal. I don't know when he'll respond though. So we might have to just go ahead with this. Let me see here. Yeah. Alright, well, since I don't think we're gonna be able to find anybody. Mr. Cheese, could you get to your podium?
Yeah, wait a second. I'm just writing some a last thing.
Right. Would get Anton to do it, but Anton's the one filming this debate, so. Well, you have Italian. What does that mean? Are you asking which party each candidate is in? Well, we have Incarnation, who is representing the Labor Party, since both Stanley and MJO were not able to make it. We have the Puffer Official, representing the party. We have Nova Kerbal, who is not present, representing the WPR. Mr. Cheese Guy, representing the SDP. And Gluon Master, representing the Evergreens. Eatby was meant to be here, but he couldn't make it. Uh, like I said, I have contacted Darklander to take Nova Purple's place, but Darklander has yet to respond. Yeah, yeah, it's very funny. Yeah, the WPR is typically late to like every debate we've had. I've noticed that. Because with our last debate, Darklander was meant to be here, but Darklander didn't make it, and so I had to get Nova Kerbal, and now Nova Kerbal's not here, so I have to get Darklander to replace her. So that's fine. All right. And I would really like it if we had a WPR candidate present. All right. Well, yeah, we'll begin. I've just contacted X Theory. If X Theory doesn't respond, then yeah, we'll just go ahead and start. Um, because by the time we get through a couple questions, hopefully the WPR should be able to have somebody. All right, yeah, X Theory isn't responding. Um, so I guess we'll just start this. All right, all right. Welcome to the annual House of Representatives debate led by RazNews. Before we start, I just want to say that RazNews, just like any other news company, doesn't make much money. As such, I ask that at least some of you in the audience donate your money to the RazNews DB so we can hold events like this and pay our journalists. Every cent counts. Thank you. Anyway, on to the debate. Yes, we've held multiple debates like this. It's, an ongoing thing. Anyways, oh, thank you, Gluon Master, for the $1,000. Um, yeah, we have one for every election. Anyways, on to the debate. I'll be asking the same questions to each candidate from left to right, then right to left in an alternating order. Any candidate has the ability to request to interrupt another candidate's answer. When you're done with your response, please end with "I yield." That way we know when you're done talking. And with no WPR candidate in sight, we'll just go ahead with the first question. We'll start with Incarnation. Um, this first one, it's a simple question. What makes you or your party the best candidate in this election? Start with you,
Hello.
Incarnation.
Hi, yeah, so I am here to represent the Labour Party, but also for MJL, Spider Script, and Stanley, which are the three representatives that are running for House as a party. And let me answer this question from my own perspective instead of, speculating for other people. But as a party, we are very meticulous in vetting the best candidates. We take great care into talking with our candidates and discussing policies, discussing what they want to do, and discussing ways to support them. And because of our meritocratic policy, we are really keen on ensuring that all of our representatives that we promote have actual strong ambitions, ideas, and dedicated playtime. If you check my representatives' playtime, you will see that they all have extremely high amounts within the last 30 days. And over the last month, as a party, we have proven that we will do our jobs. We will write the legislation that is required. We will do what is required when the server asks, when appropriations is up. And if we get elected, I will personally make sure that it will happen again. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that response. Uh, Puffer, you may now respond to the question.
Am I able to write my response? There's a lot of loud noises where I am. So,
Yeah, you're fine using in-game chat. That's perfectly okay.
okay. Also, can you repeat the question?
Yes, the question was, what makes you or your party the best candidate in this election? Alright, Puffer says it is divided to two. My party, the party, is one of the older voices on the server, and a party that has long helped people. As for me, I'm a new player and a good listener, so I know that there is that. So I think that there is that, sorry. I would do my best to help people. Other than that, not really anything to add, so I yield. Alright, thank you for that response. Nova Purple's not here. Mr. Cheese Guy, you may now respond to the question if you're here. I believe Mr. Cheese Guy has. You said she said see. Oh, you're back.
Hi, I'm back.
All right. Could you respond to the question?
Wait, the first question was again.
What makes you or your party the best candidate in this election?
So we as the SCP strongly value the opinions and interests of the people of Redmond, but we also try and value the stability and best interest for the Commonwealth, while we try and find the middle ground between the best interest. Um, so both parties are benefiting from us in leadership. We also encourage our members to be very active, and if we get elected, I will personally get the members that will get elected. I will personally kick their ass if they don't be active enough. I yield.
All right. Thank you for responding. Gluon Master, you may now respond to the question.
Okay. So Evergreens is a party that is running to represent those who live outside the main city of Redville. We also want to represent new players because they're the lifeblood of our server. I am personally an upcoming politician. I have a lot of new ideas to bring to the table, and I'm also very active, and that's even before summer break coming up, so I'm going to be even more active. I yield.
All right. Thank you for those responses. Let me just check real quick if WV has responded. No. All right. Right. So our next question: what is the most important issue in Redmont today? Starting with Gluon Master. You may respond to the question.
Yeah, I think the most important issue is giving new players purpose. And that's what all my ideas revolve around. I yield.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Cheese Guy, you may now respond to the question.
Personally, one of the biggest issue I think are going on right now is the deflation that is going on. I think that should be fixed within the next Congress. And also a big issue is new players most time do not know what to do, and they join, they hang around for a bit, and they leave, and it all costs our government a lot of money, and the money that we do not have in piles laying around to swim in. I yield.
All right. Thank you for responding. Puffer, you may now respond to the question.
First of all, I think Mr. Cheese Guy, you meant inflation. Uh, Secondly, I think new players. I mean, as someone who saw himself as a new player and was, I mean, all of us were new players. I can tell you how kind of boring the server can be. You go around, you try to sue someone, and then you understand the legal system is complicated, and then you eventually go to murder and stuff like that. It isn't fun. We need to make the server funner for new players because they're the lifeblood of our server. Other than that, I yield.
All right. Thank you for responding. Incarnation, you may now respond to the question.
Q, would you like to repeat the question for every?
What was that?
Would you like to repeat the question for everybody?
Yeah. Well, what is the most important issue facing Redmont today?
Alright. I think the most important issue by far that our current leaders are inactive. There are 101 things that we can add or fix in government, and trust me, I can talk about that all day long, and I have, but there is nothing actively destroying our server like our Congress, our politicians, and our leadership getting elected, going inactive. Bills, which we desperately require as soon as possible, get stuck for 3 days waiting for the speaker to put up to vote, 2 days for the voting process, 3 more days to vote for the Senate president, like to wait for the Senate president to get it put up to vote, 2 more days for the Senate to vote, and 14 days for the bill to pass pocket assent due to the president not responding to the bill at all. I submitted a bill on the 2nd of April. It passed the House 11 votes to 0 nays. It passed the Senate 4 to 0 and 1 abstention. And that was only passed on Friday. I submitted it on the 2nd of April. It took a month for a bill that everybody agrees should happen to pass. That's unacceptable, and this is not a flaw in our system. That is a flaw in the politicians who are not active enough and doing their jobs in a timely fashion. Thank you.
Thank you for responding.
Can I interrupt?
Oh, what was it?
I asked if I can interrupt.
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
I mean, I think you blame the politicians, but eventually we all have another life. We all need to do other things instead of just sitting around the computer. I mean, you can't be active 24/7. So, what is it that you want from politicians, I guess?
My requirements are not high. The jobs required of them, you can do in 10 minutes or less a day, okay? And you don't have to do it 10 minutes less. You have to do your job one time for 10 minutes once every 3 days. Because what you need to do is just go into the forum, which we get pinged on, and just press yes or no on the vote. And then if you're a speaker or president of the Senate, all you have to do is just every single day wake up, look at all the bills that are at vote, and look at them for 10 minutes and go, oh, this one has passed. Let me ping people and put it up to vote. And it's done, right? And if you're the president, and you need to determine whether or not this bill should be passed, that's fine. You can take more than, 1 day or 2 day or 3 days. But by the time we get to 14 days and there still is no response and it passes due to pocket assent, which basically means it's been waiting so long that by law it has to pass, that's not good.
All right, is that all?
Yep.
All right, with that, we'll move on to our next question. Give me just a moment. Our next question, which is, what is one piece of legislation that you or your party would like to pass if elected? Starting with you, Incarnation.
So I have 3 candidates. As I alluded to earlier, make sure that they all had to have good ideas, ambitions, and they would have policy. So for MJL, the one that they care about the most is a complete bankruptcy act to, replace our current one, because our current one is just a band-aid act, right? It was never supposed to be permanent. This was passed back in, I think, November of 2025 or October, something along that line. And it basically should have been something that we went back to and looked at and done better on. I know Alexandria actually has fixed one. So yeah, more info on that one. For Spider Script, it is a new player mentor system. It's basically a way for us and or the DOE to hire mentors who can go out and go to new players and be like, I will help you, I will teach you the ropes of the server, and the reward is if the new player gets a government job, which is a government funded program, then the mentors will also get compensated for their time, and hopefully it would help new players get into the server better, right? For Stanley, it is a small claim system because our courts take a very long time for things to process, and in real life, we have small claims to try to help remedy such an issue. And it's not going to be perfect in DC, but you really want to pass resolutions and work together with the court to try to find a good way to solve this. And a lot of these things you will be able to read more about in the upcoming days, but I am always here to field any questions regarding the details for them. You can DM me right now, I do not mind. But unlike other parties, our party is all hands on deck working on legislation as our priority. We actively recruit players with expertise, not just politicians, but people with economic expertise, with legal expertise, and with legislative expertise, sometimes in real life. And this is all for the objective of helping to get work done. It is not an easy or pretty process that we can just go up and talk about all the time, but it is what is required to do our jobs.
You yield.
Yes, sir.
All right. Puffer, you may now respond to the question.
Just so I'll make sure I get it correct, it is what legislation would me or my party be willing to
Yeah, what
run,
is one
right?
piece of legislation you or your party would like to pass if elected?
Okay. I think right now I have a personal legislation, which is basically creating a new agency under Congress, I think, which will help the new players get more involved in the server, get them to teach them a little bit more, kind of like the guide we have, but or the tutorial, but better. I think it's currently really in its infidel stages, so I don't really want to talk about it too much. I'm also willing to with the people. I am, after all, representative of the people. And if there is legislation that somebody would want to pass, I would be more than happy working with them. I yield.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cheese Guy, you may now respond to the question.
Okay. Well, one of our members, I did not know it was again. I was just scrolling to what our members wanted to do, but one of them wanted to propose a piece of legislation that would improve the qualities of our farmers' lives, since they do a lot of work, they do hard work, and they do not get paid very much. I do not know a lot of details on this since I'm not running myself, but I think this is a good idea and I support it. I yield.
All right, thank you for responding. Gulan Master, you may now respond to the question.
So I have a lot of ideas, but if I had to pick one to fight tooth and nail for, it would be to reward businesses that go out and hire new players. So, like, when I started DC, the event that got me invested in the server was when I was hired by Starlight to work on building a farm and like a house. And so I think that if you reward businesses that hire new players, it could lead to veteran players seeking out the new players and giving them a purpose at the start of the game. And this reward could be through money, it could be an announcement, a cool title, it could be a celebration. So that's my idea. I yield.
All right, thank you for responding. Um, our next question. Do you believe an impending new player wave is a pressing issue? If so, how do you seek to address it? Starting with Gluon Master, you may now respond to the question.
To some degree, I think it is, but I do think there's a lot of alarmism around it. So I don't think we need to change our entire budget like right now. But I think my plan would be we have a conditional budget that we pass, and it will like activate when there is a new player wave. I don't know precisely how many players like joining the server would constitute that, but that would be my plan. Or I yield.
All right. Yeah, thank you for responding. Mr. Cheese Guy, you may now respond to the question.
Aye, aye. Well, as Gluon said, a bit of both ways. It can be good, it can be bad. in a roleplay perspective, it's not too bad. You got a lot of new players, and it's roleplay part really great. But economically wise, it would be not as great since the new player balances would cost a lot of money to the government. Um, Sometimes money that the government doesn't have. So I think this can be solved by one, decreasing the new player balances during kinds of these ways, or freezing them completely, which would be a last resort. Because I don't think new players would like it that they don't get any money at all. I yield.
Right. Thank you for
I
responding to
would
the
like
question.
I would like to make a
Puffer, you may now respond.
can I make a response if possible to
Oh yeah, totally.
Thank
Puffer,
you. I'll
before you
make it
make a
very
response.
quick and simple.
Yeah.
In the last month, we have been very aware of this potential new player starting balance issue. And we already have been working hard to make fixes for it, right? With the Labour Party, with our governor, FOB governor, and with the WPR, we already have made something called the Borrowing Authority Act. And that's, in essence, to tackle this issue where, what if one month we have an extreme amount of spending and that spending money might come back to us anyways in a later date via prunes. But for now, we will be heavily in the deficit by allowing the government to borrow money from the FRB, which is already a lever that should have been possible. We can basically prevent short-term disaster and allow us to eventually pay back those debts and those money that we borrow when the money gets pruned back to us if new players choose not to stay in the server. Of course, there are other questions about it, which is what if the spending goes too much? What if we borrow too much? How can we control it? Who gets to set the terms? This is a long bill that I do not have the time to talk about, but all the info is in the bill. It's a very lengthy bill that people worked very hard on. Still have questions about it? Feel free to ask any of the people involved in it. There are many people involved.
Puffer, you may now respond.
Yes, can you repeat it? The question was about the nuclear wave, right?
Yes, the question was, do you believe an impending nuclear wave is a pressing issue? If so, how do you seek to address it?
I mean, it really depends on how we respond to it. If we do nothing and let the players get bored, yes, it will be an issue. But if we try to make the server more entertaining, we try to make it uh, more welcoming to new players. That's the word I was searching for. Then it won't be an issue. It will be an opportunity. I yield.
Alright. Incarnation, did that earlier interruption count as your response, or would you still like to respond?
Now, my response is very different from that, but
Okay,
because
alright.
that is already something that's waiting ascent, right? Like that's something that is already going to happen. We don't need to talk about it. It's happening. Maybe unless techno vetoes it. Who's on? Sorry. Anyways, back on point. So the question is, do you believe an impending new player wave is a pressing issue? And if so, how do you seek to address it? Well, I don't think it's necessarily an issue, but I will call it an opportunity. Our server currently desperately needs an injection of new passionate players ready to do stuff, to play on the server, enjoy this wonderful thing that we have created over what, 5 years? And I have no intentions of bending over backwards just for the new player population, but we need to do something to improve their quality of life so that when new players join, we as a server are putting our best foot forwards for them. Because currently it is rough, and that is a well accepted fact. And that process, in theory, needs to begin as soon as possible, and it has begun. We have already taken actions to try to remedy some of our most pressing issues. But we need to continue taking action and to continue taking the action necessary to allow us to show ourselves at its best.
Alright. Thank you for responding. Um, right, for our next question, it's a bit of an old issue, but I've seen it brought up a bit in campaign recently. What is your opinion on town rights? Incarnation, you may now
Yeah.
respond.
Well, I will say this. For town rights, it is not just a fight within Congress. It is a fight against the server itself, and this is well known. Right? If it was just up to Congress, towns would have been much more involved and they would have been given much better, very simple quality of life changes already. And I believe many of these things may or may not should happen, right? Because if we want to support town autonomy, but then on the other hand, hold them with a leash and be like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you have to do this, you have to follow that, it doesn't work, right? And currently, they're not being supported well at all. For government, in theory, in my opinion, all that we should be doing as a government is enabling towns to do stuff, to enable towns to make what they think is best, and let the people who like that type of playstyle go join those towns. But none of that can happen if we just hold them with a leash and tell them what they can or cannot do. That is what will kill town. And
All right.
thank you.
All right. Puffer, you may now respond to the question.
I think it's one of our most complicated issues on the server, town rights. I mean, like Incarnation said, it's a fight between not only between Congress but also about the server itself. I I don't see myself really getting into it, mostly because it's against staff intent. We can't. There's a lot of things I would love to do, but if you can't go against the server owners, and as much as I hate to say it, I do understand where staff is coming from. I mean, the entire idea of the wild is to be unregulated. You can't just start regulating it, and there needs to be some sort of line.
Do you yield?
Yes, I hope I also got the question correctly, but
Yeah, the question was specifically about Redmontian towns. Um,
oh, oh, okay.
yeah, if you
In
you
that
can,
case,
yeah,
sorry, it's like 10 a.m. for me, so a little
yeah,
bit
no
tired.
worries, no worries.
I think there was an idea we had at the party to get the towns more involved. It did get vetoed by staff, sadly. So again, it's a lot of like pushing the lines where you can do stuff and where you can't, even about regular towns, not just wild towns. But I think whatever you can do to get staff more involved is to get the towns more involved would be best. I don't really have any ideas, but whatever we can do would be best. Other than that, I yield.
All right. Give me just a moment. Nova Kerbal has just pinged me. Uh, maybe we'll get somebody from WPR here. Get Nova Kerbal up here if she is able to. But until then, Mr. Cheese Guy, you may now respond to the question.
It was the thing, right? Okay. So the SDP values towns very much. They are people, and we value the people. The well-being of the people is very much important. As much as the our greatest towns, our great towns in Redmond itself, and the town in the wild, and the towns in the wilds, we very much support them. Um, we'd love for the towns in Redmond itself to have some more autonomy, but um I don't think staff would like that first. But uh, if it could happen, uh, the SCP would make it happen. I yield.
Right. Thank you for responding. Gluon Master, you may now respond to the question.
My campaign is mostly focused on getting the wild nations and wild towns more recognition. However, if I had to say something about like Redmond town rights, I generally agree that they should have the freedom to be unique and they should be able to be autonomous from Redville, but obviously still part of our country. Um, all of this is going to obviously be restrained by staff intent, but I'm going to try to work within that framework the best I can. I yield.
All right. Thank you for responding. Give me just a moment. So our next question. Oh, hold on. Double Kerbal. Double Kerbal says that she.
I will say that during the debate is coming into its late stages of conversation, um, we maybe shouldn't waste more time on adding new members. Even though I would love for the WPL to talk, I think maybe
Yeah,
we
yeah,
should.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's just that Nova Kerbal has just told me that she should be able to be here. If she comes here, then I might ask her some more questions just to see what the response is. Um, but we will move on to the next question. Um, what is you or your party's general economic plan for Redmont? Master, you may now respond.
That is a great question. So, generally speaking, I think our overall goal is basically to try to make farming like a more profitable business. I think our goal is to also like help out new players. Um, and that also comes down to helping out farming and mining because those are the jobs that new players will start off in. And that's just kind of our general gist. I yield.
Right. Thank you for responding. Um, Let me put Nova Kerbal on stage. All right. So Nova, I will ask you a few, just real quick, a few of the important questions that we've gone past already, and that's perfectly fine. I'll just go through a couple of the old questions we've asked already, ask them to you, and then, um, you know, we'll go back to normal. But first, let's finish this. Puffer, you may now respond to the question. Oh, yeah, sorry. Cheese Guy, you may not respond to the question. My bad.
It was the economic thing, and yes.
Yes, yes.
So we as the SCP value that everyone gets fair chances economically, so everyone has the chance to grow. Um, if they take or don't take the chance, it's up to them. But we wanna have everyone be able to have the opportunity to get the help from the government to make them grow. And I don't know what on, but my words don't want to come out. I yield.
All right, thank you for responding. Puffer, you may now respond. Puffer says, I want to talk about two words. Fair opportunity. fair opportunity means that people will have a fair chance to get rich, depending on the decisions that they make. It also means that those who are too rich will need to pay more, so that the poor in our society will be able to grow. I think that's it. I yield. All right. Thank you for responding. Incarnation, you may now respond to the question.
When I ran for election, the first time around in the special election, the economy was obviously one of our main focuses, and we have done nothing but work on it over an entire month already. In the past, we have already written and have passed some are on their way to getting passed, and the three bills that I would like to highlight would be the Banking Income Tax Act, which is a very lengthy and kind of procedural and technical bill that is mainly aimed to make sure that banks are not able to hide their profits and that they have to fairly pay the profit tax and income tax that they should be paying in the first place. We have the Borrowing Authority Act, which is, as I mentioned before, is something the Labour Party and the WPL have worked on together, and it's essentially to ensure that the government can spend the amount required on any given month, regardless of any abnormal spending, in order to make sure that the programs that we should have that will make our server better can still be implemented, regardless of any single abnormalities in a month. And we also have the Grant Guideline Act, which is mainly aimed at allowing the DOC and also the DOJ and Congress, kind of, which is to be able to regulate grants and how they are spent correctly more effectively. And the point of that is currently, if many grants are not being spent as they are being given to them, and they are being either defrauded from the DOC or if they are getting like misused or they just go inactive, we don't really have a way to punish them or even take the money back. That in itself is hard handcuffing us to not be able to invest the amount that we should into new businesses like grants should be. So, if we are able to regulate them better and be able to have more recourse for when things go wrong, we could, ironically, in turn, actually justify more spending and more investment to these starting businesses, which will be the backbone of our economy, which is something we desperately need right now. In terms of future policies, we will continue working on that. And obviously, everybody knows about the big one that I love talking about, which is item sinks, which I still believe is very important in any video game economy where items can get printed and added into the supply at a higher rate than demand. We don't have to talk about that because it's been talked about to death. But in general, it's very important for our economy to be revitalized and for spending to be encouraged rather than discouraged. If we have an economy that benefits people who hoard their money and stack their money in bank accounts, that is an economy that will not function. And it hasn't functioned. We have been on a constant, steady decline. And it's not a good thing. That should continue to happen. Thank you.
Thank you for responding. Like I said earlier, we will just do a quick rundown of the questions we've already asked to Nova Kerbal. Um, Nova Kerbal, what makes you or your party the best candidate in this election? You may now respond. Nova Kerbal says the WPR is the best candidate because we have a policy platform focused on helping the workers, the traders, and the average player. Too often, too often, parties focus on the financial sector as a measure of success, but that does not constitute the whole economy. We need to take into account all players, not just those engaged in the banks and the financial markets. Right, is that it? For clarity, when you're done saying your answer, please end it with "I yield." Thank you, thank you. And our next question: what is the most important issue facing Vermont today? You may not respond to the question. No, girl. What is the most important issue facing Redmont today? No, Kerbal says the most important issues is still the size of our treasury. While we have made great strides as a Congress this session, passing new taxes, we still are not adequately prepared for a large player wave. I think at this point we need to be reactive.
I'm sorry. Ask
The next
follow up.
Congress needs. Oh, did you want to interrupt?
Yeah. I just want to clarify. What do you mean by the size of our treasury? Do you mean you want to make the government take even more money from the people?
Let me just finish reading Novakerbal's response here. The next Congress needs to be prepared to pass new sources of money in order to respond to any large drop in the size of the Treasury, as we cannot be certain what effects the wave of players will have.
May I
All
ask,
right. Yeah. Go ahead. Ask
why
your
does
question,
the
Nova.
WPR who wants to support workers seem to be the one pushing to take money and resources away from people via taxes just to increase the size of our treasury in the first place?
Nova, you may now respond to the interruption. No Kerbal says, this is a personal policy belief, but I'm strongly opposed to borrowing and debt-based spending. If we are not in a crisis, our treasury should be growing and healthy. We need to pass taxes in order to keep the budget positive so that we don't need to borrow during good times. I yield.
May I make a final response?
Yes.
If your personal policy is in direct opposition and contrast to the ideology and the concept of your party, which is the Workers' Party of Redmond, may I ask why you felt inclined to run for the WPR in the first place, rather than a conservative party such as the TFC, which your policies would be more aligned toward?
Yes, this will be, Nova Kerbal's response will be the last one, because I want to go ahead and hurry this up, so we can go back to where we were. Nova Kerbal says, since we have conservative parties, when have conservative parties been pro-taxation? Also, I support workers, not MZ profits.
Thank you for your response. Let's move on as requested.
Yeah. Okay. You. All right. All right. All right. We'll just ask the question we were already on a little bit ago. What is your opinion on town riots? You may not respond. Yes, the question was, what is your opinion on town riots? These are the rights of towns in Redmont, mind you. Nova Kerbal says, I think town riots have been a useful populist distraction for May candidates to get elected. I feel that they have swung too far, and now the towns have expressed a high degree of autonomy. And look where both Oak Ridge and Aventura have gone.
I would like to make a request. Due to both myself and the SDP candidate getting busy soon, and due to the time promised for the debate to last coming close to its conclusion, may me and the SDP candidate take 5 minutes each to talk about the rest of the questions on our agenda, and to quickly field a couple questions from the public before we have to leave.
Yes, I will allow that. Real quick, let me just finish Nova Kerbal's response. The Aventura Council is at war for itself, and Oak Ridge's mayor has been accused yet again of being inactive. I yield. All right. So you just wanted to answer the last few questions real quick?
Well,
Is
considering
that
that
it?
we have spent close to 15 minutes for somebody who has been late, we are
Yes.
quickly running out of time. So I would request that we get a chance to finish our
I
points
got
that we were
6
prepared for.
minutes.
Right. Alright, it appears that Puffy needs to leave too, so I will quickly just run down our questions here. Luckily, we only have about 3 questions left, and only one of them is really important, so I'll just ask that question real quick. What steps will you take to address feedback regarding your actions as a representative? Incarnation, you may respond.
Well, I have already done a lot to look at feedback and take in consideration the voice of the public, as I have been extremely active and extremely open to conversation. But I am not just running here for myself today, I'm running on behalf of the representatives that I've so painstakingly ensured were good candidates. So I shall speak for MJL, Stanley, and Spidercrypt in this regard. MJL is already very active in the Maronia government. They already have to take feedback, and they've already proven their worth as somebody who is active, will vote, and will be able to amend to good suggestions. They have 4 days in the last 30 days of playtime. Stanley was just in office. We've already seen Stanley prove himself with voting on every single bill, with constantly being in discussion, for being somebody with a reasonable voice that you can talk to. And we have seen Spidercrypt, who is a very lovely and friendly doctor who has seen firsthand many of the struggles that new players have faced and have already looked at feedback and looked at the issues of the server to even develop her campaign in the first place to find out what issues are worth addressing and what the possible solutions are. May I repeat, I really do believe in this new player mentor system, which really aims to directly connect experienced players and new players together in a way that holds experienced players responsible for the well-being of new players, which is something that we've seen work time and time again in real life with reading buddies, with teams, with a lot of different programs. Thank you for your time.
Alright, Puffer, you may now respond to the question. Puffer says, like I said before, I'm planning on being an active listener. My Discord DMs are always open, both to criticism and to ideas. Alright, is that all? The day I won't be able to help and serve, I'll resign. That is a promise. And that, nothing more to say. Cheese Guy, you may now respond to the question.
I will personally encourage the members that are running to review any legislation passed a few people, including myself, and also the leadership of the SCP, and also some citizens who and their opinions on it before proposing any bills to the government. I yield.
Alright, thanks for responding. That's out of the way. Gluon Master, you may now respond to the same question.
Okay. I believe the role of a representative is to listen to the people, whether they be wild, rural, or city. I've already been doing a survey to hear out the public's ideas. Last election, I talked with a lot of people to hear out their ideas, and that was pretty cool. I also read the petitions when I can, and people are always free to DM me if they have ideas or want to discuss things. I yield.
Alright, thank you for responding. No Kerbal, you may now respond. No Kerbal says, I believe in responding to active criticism, but I won't sabotage my own beliefs due to outrage. I represent the voices of the people who elected me, even if they may be unpopular. Populism will not sway me. Alright, you. Okay. Like I said, that was the most important question that we had out of the last questions we had. So if you need to leave now, you are free to. But we do just have like a few quick questions left. If you're able to respond to those. If not, that's fine. You can leave now.
Yes, I
And
would
then
like to
after this, we'll
field
do
question
some audience questions
from
if
the
you're
public.
available for that.
I would like to field a question from Talion.
Yes, Talion, yeah, go ahead and ask your question to Incarnation. Italian says, you have mentioned that you believe the presiding officers are doing their jobs too slowly, thus insufficiently. Are you aware that there is a 3-day statutory waiting period in the Senate that we must consider before putting up a bill for vote? Do you believe that the presiding officers should act in violation of this statutory requirement?
Yes, thank you very much for asking this question. As I said in my earlier response, what I said specifically was that it takes 3 days to wait for the speaker to put it up to vote, because they have a 1 day statutory period, and usually they take longer than 1 day. Then we have a mandatory voting period. Then we have the mandatory statutory waiting period for the Senate president, and then we have more days waited to vote. These are not necessarily criticisms of anybody within the Senate, because they are just forced to regulation. And if it was just the 1 day period that we have to wait, then the 2 days, then the 3 days, and the 2 days, that will only add up to 5, 6, 8 days. And then if the president gets onto it the next day, a bill should only take 10 days if we do it in a very quick and expeditious fashion to fit with the mandatory time. Yeah, I didn't think it was 3 days either, but I just took his Italian word for it. Either way, it should take about 2 weeks at most. 14 days, just to have more time to debate about it, fine. Maybe 18, 21 days. Give them another week if it's like a very complicated one that we really need to sink our teeth in. 30 days, that is 14 days past what it should be. That is no longer a question of statutory waiting time of 2 or 3 days. That is 10 times more than 3 days. So like I've really respected the work you've done. I think you have been doing great, even though some of them you were waiting like maybe a day longer than you needed to, or like 2 days, whatever. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But the Senate has been pretty good. It's really the House and the executive where things have slowed down too much for my liking. Which is why if my candidates got elected, I believe they will be very active, and they'll be active enough that at least if they were deputy speakers, they should be able to ensure that things move at a correct pacing and to facilitate conversation. Because guess what? It's not just the votes that make us inactive. I've been in VC all month long talking to a bunch of people, talking to everybody. You know who I haven't talked to? I haven't talked to people in Congress. Somehow, those are the only people who consider it above them to come in for chats and talks about politics with the server. That's really what the issue is. It's not that we have to wait 3 days. It's that we barely, yeah, like Mr. Cheese Guy is great. They come in to talk. Stanley is great. Come in to talk. There are some that are decent, but many are very inactive, and that is not necessarily directed at anybody in particular. It is just the way things have been. But thank you for your question, and thank you for letting me clear it up. No, thank you too.
Right. Yeah, before we go fully into audience questions, I do have one last scripted question I would like you all to respond to. This could be the most important question of the entire debate. It's it's been a pressing issue for a while. I know it got settled a while back, but I just want to know public opinion. Um, this question is, pancakes or waffles? Incarnation, may I now respond?
Yes, this is in fact something that I'm very passionate about, and I could talk to you guys for hours about. But in basic principle, bottom line, I am a very big waffle believer. I have been forever, I will be, and I continue and being huge supporter of waffles. My first G3 race, which is the very thing that I joined the server for and that I worked months on end, or like weeks on end for, I called it the waffle steaks. I loved waffles. I helped co-farm waffles. I've helped support the waffle agenda. I got nothing against waffles. But not everything is about yourself. When you are a politician, sometimes you have to do what you believe is right for the server. And I will always do what I believe is right for the server before I do what is right for myself. Stanley is the same as me, and that's why I love him and support him. MJL is the same. They will be willing to sacrifice their own interests, and they will work through the day, like they will work as much as they need to make what they believe in do better. And you can see that with how they've reacted in Maronia, with how they've written the entire temporary constitution, with how they act very active speaker roles to facilitate things happening. And this is really what waffles versus pancakes about. It is not just about the item and which one you prefer in real life, but it's also about what you are willing to stand for. Thank you for your time, and I will be leaving.
All
Thank
right,
you,
bye,
Clone. You know we
Incarnation.
love waffles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
glad to
dude.
have you here.
You too.
Yeah,
See you again.
right, bye. Nova Kerbal, you may now respond to the question. Nova Kerbal. One word answer. Waffle. Thank you for your response. Cheese guy, what do you say?
I must follow my nationality. We, the Belgians, are the creators of waffles. I must say waffles, since waffles are great. I yield.
All right, thank you for responding. Gluon Master, you may now respond to the question.
As much as I personally love waffles, I have to admit, waffles are rigid and they represent the unmoving systems and authoritarian rule that plague any good democracy. We must ban these horrible waffles. So, I would prefer a ban on waffles, but actually, if a majority of people wanted pancakes banned, I'd support that instead. Because I just think overall, we need to ban one of them. They're both threats. One of them needs to be banned. I yield.
Thank you for your response. You know, if I was asked this personally, I would say French toast, but that's just me. All right, thank you for answering all our questions. We'll now be taking audience questions if you have any. Um, uh, yeah, unfortunately, you will not be able to ask any questions to Puffer or Incarnation. Yes, was Italian. Uh, yes, there is, but that's not something I can really ask. Newbly, if you have a question, please just state it in game or in the VC chat. Otherwise, oh, I see Cheese Guy needs to go. So it'll just be two candidates, Nova Kerbal and Gluon, who you can ask questions to, and otherwise we will just be ending the debate here. So it does not seem like we really have any questions. Oh, Newbly has one. What is your opinion on stagnancy in the departments of Redmont? All right, one last question to end things off. Nova Kerbal, you may now respond. Personally speaking, from experience of the departments I'm part of, they're quite active, DOJ and DOH. I haven't seen much from any other departments, so I can't speak on whether they are active, but I'd be interested to hear if they have been. Sorry about that. I yield. All right. Thank you for responding. Gluon, you may now respond.
To speak for the Department of the Interior, I think we've been very active. I think our secretary is great. I think we have gotten a lot done. So I don't see any problems with the Department of Interior. Since people have been mentioning this as an issue, it'd be worth like looking into it for the other departments. But I can't really speak on that because I don't know. Anyway, I yield.
All right. Thank you for responding. And with that, I think we'll be done. That's all the questions we have. Everybody make sure to attend the TPA Senate debate, which will be held tomorrow, pretty early in the morning. Thank you to our two sponsors, User Martin Volt, and thank you to the audience for attending. You're all free to leave. Yet again, thank you all for coming. Have a great day.